Rich Dad Poor Dad is a personal finance book written by Robert Kiyosaki. The book emphasizes the importance of financial education and the difference between working for money and having money work for you. The book is written in the form of a memoir, with Kiyosaki sharing lessons he learned from his rich dad, his best friend's father, and poor dad, his biological father. The rich dad in the book espouses the principles of financial independence and advocates for building wealth through investing in assets, such as real estate and small businesses, rather than through traditional employment or saving money in a bank. He teaches the importance of financial literacy and the difference between an asset and a liability. The poor dad, on the other hand, is portrayed as being focused on earning a high income and keeping up with the Joneses, rather than building wealth. He is critical of the rich dad's unorthodox approach to money and encourages his son to pursue a traditional education and career path. The cash quadrant is a concept from the book Rich Dad Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki. It is a way to classify different types of income and the financial strategies associated with them. The four quadrants are: Employee. This quadrant represents people who earn a salary or wages from a job. They are dependent on their employer for income and typically have little control over their financial future. Self-employed. This quadrant represents people who own their own business, but are still trading time for money. They have more control over their income than employees, but their income is still limited by the number of hours they can work. Business owner. This quadrant represents people who own a business that can generate income without their active involvement. They have more control over their financial future than the previous two quadrants, but their income is still limited by the size and success of their business. Investor. This quadrant represents people who invest their money to generate income, such as through stocks, bonds, and real estate. They have the most control over their financial future and have the potential to generate the highest levels of income. The book encourages the reader to strive to move from the left side of the quadrant to the right side, from being dependent on a job or business, to being an investor who generates passive income. Throughout the book, the author uses examples and stories from his own life to illustrate the key concepts and principles he presents. Here are a few examples and stories that are used in the book. 1. The story of the author's rich dad and his real estate investments. The author tells the story of how his rich dad invested in real estate and built a significant amount of wealth through property ownership. He uses this story to illustrate the principle that investing in assets, like real estate, is a key way to build wealth. 2. The story of the author's poor dad and his reliance on a traditional job. The author tells the story of how his poor dad worked a traditional job his entire life and never achieved financial independence. He uses this story to illustrate the principle that relying on a traditional job as the sole source of income is not a path to financial freedom. 3. The story of the author's own failures and successes in business. The author shares the story of his own failures and successes in business, including his failed ventures in the early years of his entrepreneurship journey and how he learned from it. He uses these stories to illustrate the principle that failure is a necessary part of the learning process and that one should not be afraid to take risks in business. 4. The story of how the author learned the importance of financial education. The author tells the story of how he realized the importance of financial education and how it helped him to understand the difference between assets and liabilities, and how it helped him to build wealth. He uses this story to illustrate the principle that financial education is essential for achieving financial freedom. The key concepts from the book include: 1. The importance of financial education. The book emphasizes the importance of learning about personal finance and investing in order to build wealth. 2. The difference between assets and liabilities. Kiyosaki teaches that assets put money in your pocket, while liabilities take money out of your pocket. He encourages readers to focus on building a portfolio of assets in order to achieve financial independence. 3. The power of passive income. The author emphasizes the importance of having multiple streams of income, particularly passive income from investments, in order to achieve financial freedom. 4. The importance of taking risks. Kiyosaki encourages readers to be willing to take risks and to be open to learning from their mistakes, as this is how one can acquire assets and build wealth. 5. The difference between being rich and being wealthy. The book differentiates between being rich, which is having a high income, and being wealthy, which is having assets that generate passive income. 6. The difference between working for money and having money work for you. The author teaches that it is more important to have money work for you than to work for money, in order to achieve financial independence. 7. The importance of financial intelligence. The book talks about how important it is to have the right mindset and knowledge to understand money and how to use it to work for you. 8. The difference between an employee, self-employed, and a businessman. The author explains the difference between the three and how a businessman mindset and approach can create more wealth and freedom. This summary was brought to you by them folks at Wisdom Slice, bringing you your fresh Wizzy Slice. Feel free to join our online communities and do hit up our book nerd team with any books you would like us to summarize for you. And we'd be more than happy to deliver your next fresh wisdom slice. Peace out and much love, homies. Ciao for now, amigos.